Welcome to the show, guys. We have a little bit of BGs for you to keep things on the up and up for folks. What is going on? We have SMitty returning to the show, the CEO of Sound Alive Records, and a new addition, Tyler Boone from the TI Project. And SMitty introduced me to Tyler. We've just been chatting a little bit before the show. And he's running a cool business. He's making some cool products, and we're going to get into all that stuff. But welcome to the show, guys. It's good to have you both here.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
Absolutely, SMitty. Awesome. SMitty, so what made you think, you know what, Tyler needs to be on the show? Let's start with that, because and I agree with you, but I think the folks should hear it from you. So,
well, Tyler is a huge has a huge presence in the XRP community, XRPL, and he's also been creating amazing products, mainly like dog tags and signature tags, emblems, things that you can wear or possibly even carry in your wallet. And he's got a huge use case and utility for XRP in terms of having a scannable QR code or a tappable product you can tap. And I think it's just a fantastic way that we can spread the word for not just Sound Alive Radio, Truth Stream, everything that we do on our end, and at the same time, all of us being adamant XRP holders. It's we definitely got to connect. Now, the cool thing about what Tyler's done is he's gotten all the way to the top. I mean, I think he got on his knees and he gave Brad Garlinghouse the cufflinks. Yep. So I thought that was kind of a cool moment or whatever. But
it's surreal.
and it's funny, the got on your knees things or whatever.
We'll have to pull a picture of that up shortly too.
Yes, we will. I think it's like pinned on his page or whatever. But
I think it probably still is,
yeah. I watched this kid go from really just an idea, and then he's built this into something really amazing. And I think it's only going to grow even bigger and bigger. And I think there's huge utility in what he's doing, kind of like almost like a physical NFT type use case. And, I feel like a lot of your listeners, we already know these guys are patriots and ex-military, all that type of good stuff. And I think that they would probably love to either get involved, and also small business owners, lots of small business guys. They would love to get some of Tyler's products. And, so that's why I brought him on board. And at the same time, I wanted to get a few for Sound Alive Radio and maybe get you a few for Truth Stream, because maybe we can kind of showcase what Tyler does and, kind of cross brand and cross procreate amazing things together. So, yeah. That was the main reason, brother. Just amazing all around guy. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, it really helps to have this community, and then we can plug others that we align with right into it and make life a little bit easier for them. So, Tyler, let's start with a little bit about your background and the company and what you actually do. And of course, we're going to share some images and all that jazz, but let's start with a little bit about your history. That'd be great.
Absolutely. So I studied mechanical engineering in school. I went to Georgia Tech in Atlanta, Georgia, for college, and got my bachelor's degree in that. And during my time there, I worked in the aerospace manufacturing sector. Was working at a private jet company for a while, doing like completions engineering type of stuff. And then I went into the actually manufacturing the components that went onto Gulfstreams and F-35s and stuff like that. Actually, that happened before. And then I went to work at Gulfstream. And then I had some stints in the construction world, and I worked with my dad for a little while in his business. But I grew up in the shop. So my dad's an entrepreneur. He makes wedding rings for a living and has been doing that since before I was even born. So when I was a kid growing up, I mean, he taught me all that kind of stuff, how to use CAD, back when I was in like second grade or something like that. So I knew from a very early age that I wanted to be an engineer. and probably also that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know really what an entrepreneur was at the time, but that's just kind of all I knew. And my dad had told me things growing up, along the lines of, as long as you can create a product that people want and you can accept money over the internet, you're always going to have a job. And that really resonated and stuck with me all these years. And it was probably over 20 years ago that he told me that.
Wow.
And then, it was about 2021 timeframe that I was working with him. This was after I had done a stint in the startup world. We took a project that we had done for our capstone, senior design project, actually turned it into a business. We went through an incubator program, actually raised some money. This was a long story short, a tractor trailer aerodynamic improvement device that we were building. That company, we kind of fizzled out, but we learned a lot along the way. But I worked with my dad for a while. And during that time, again, back in 2021 timeframe, I had asked him if it would be cool if I could start making, cryptocurrency related products to put into his store in a separate collection. Because at the time I had started a Twitter page, and I had been doing, some, crypto research on there, starting to kind of like talk to people and build a bit of a community. And I knew where to find, the XRP crowd, because I had been an investor since 2019. So at that point I had been in the space for a couple of years, but hadn't really started creating and actually outputting into it until about 2021. And he told me, he was like, yeah, I mean, I don't really care as long as it's like, if it makes money and people want it and they like it, sure. And so that's when it started. And then in about 6 months, that stuff started really scaling. And I mean, it was competing revenue wise with like the rest of the core business by the end of the year. And then I had to move out of state for a year, and I incorporated my own business in January 22. And that's what Thai Project is. I bought my own laser and moved out there and everything just on my own, and built it for a year. And then, here we are now almost 4 years later, and we're in a completely different universe. So it's really exciting.
Wow. Family is so important. It's a big part of what's made me who I am in some ways, I would say. So what has it been like having a dad that has supported you that much? That's incredible, man.
Yeah.
I mean, more kids need that. That's amazing. Yeah. So let's talk about that.
I'm very blessed to have a dad that really does support in that way, because I know a lot of people who would otherwise be entrepreneurial oftentimes get shut down by their own family members for a number of reasons. I mean, whether it's kind of like projecting insecurity onto them, or it's a competitive thing. You can't see, your family member doing better than you, so you have to put them down when they're trying to break out and get ahead. That type of stuff, it's honestly, it's the worst among family most of the time for those type of reasons. So it's like you grow up together, and it's like kind of competitive, if you will. But yeah, even with parents, sometimes you can run into that same situation, and it's really counterintuitive when you think about it big picture. But he's been very supportive, and of course, him being an entrepreneur, he understands all that goes into it, and he's taught me a lot of lessons along the way that I've learned. But I also learned from, I've had a few failed businesses before this one, and have had the battle scars from that, and learned kind of the hard way too. But he encouraged me through those things. And, now I feel like a much, much better business owner. And, every day there's something new that you have to kind of battle. But to be honest, it's a very fulfilling journey. It's not easy, but it's incredible. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Very cool. So you guys talk quite a bit on a regular basis if you have questions for Dad?
Yeah. Actually, we run both of our businesses out of the same shop now. So I'm with him every day. Yeah. So it's really great. And I'm hoping that, Thai Project can eventually scale to the point where, I either acquire Boon Rings, or, basically he could just sort of retire and just kind of work for me or with me. And, we sort of just, he wants that too. I mean, he's getting to that retirement age. But I know him, he's not going to want to just sit around and do nothing all day, but he also doesn't want to run a business and have all the decisions that come along with that and the headaches that come along with that. So if I could just sort of ease those burdens and just let him do his thing and create and design new things and just kind of do what he wants to do, spend his time doing, then I think that'll be such a great gift for him after all the years that he's poured into me. So that's my big goal going forward.
Absolutely. You're standing on the shoulders of giants. So that's awesome. Well, should we share the screen and show a little bit about what you do? That'd be a good place to start?
I think so. Yeah. Sounds good to me.
All right. So we're going to show the website here, and then you can just talk me like, if there's certain tabs you want me to look at. There's one that I'm interested. Once I saw what we're going to share with folks, I was like, okay, we got to have this interview. So, all right, here we go. We'll start off with the home.
If you click on the logo at the top, it'll or that. Yeah, perfect.
Okay. All right. So where should we go from here? So
honestly, you could just kind of scroll down on the homepage for a little while, and yeah, just like that. I kind of have like some of the top picks in there, like that middle tag at the top with Trump and Brad Garlinghouse and Stuart Alderati. That kind of has an interesting story. That picture came out during like the inauguration time frame, and it was a really big deal at the time because it's like, oh my God, the CEO of Ripple like had dinner with Trump. That's awesome. And this was also around the time when ChatGPT had that update that allowed you to just upload a picture and then have it, change the style of it like really easily. And there's that Studio Ghibli style that was like kind of viral at the time. So I just turned it into that, threw it on a dog tag, and put it up on the site. And I mean, there were so many people that wanted one. So that was a really cool. I think that just showcases that like we can take, social listen and take something that's relevant to the community or any community and rapidly turn it into something that people could purchase, right? So we can capitalize on emotion as it's fresh. Because if I waited 2 days, then, at that point, people would have forgotten about it. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. But to be able to have this product available in 30 minutes after this picture dropped, totally different story. And then it's like, oh God, I need that. Right. So that's huge.
How long did you say? 30 minutes?
Yes. Yeah. So that tends to happen. There were a couple of times where that same, thought process went into play where back in, I think it was like 2 years ago now, or was it last year? I can't remember, but either way, in I think it was July of either last year or 2023, in the Ripple case, there was the ruling where XRP wasn't a security. So I ran to the shop. I don't even think I was at the shop at the time. And I got in the car and I went there and I threw together a design, just had that clip, the words from the ruling, put it on a keychain, engraved it. On the backside, I had like the Phoenix with the XRP logo and the American flag in the background and the date, and just, sent it, and I took pictures of it, put it on the website. And I mean, thousands of dollars in just a couple days just from that. It's just, but it had to be immediate.
Right.
If it wasn't, because I've also been a little bit late to the fight there and totally missed the window. So I have found that it really makes a huge difference. So.
Okay, very, very interesting. That's wow. I did not know about that. So let's shall we scroll down a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, whatever one you want to talk about next. God, there's some great designs on here, man.
Thank you. Yeah, we do cufflinks. We do those arc plates that can store the seed phrases in metal. We do ornaments, rings, and we do cards as well. Like that's a Zaman Payments card that has a QR code on it for your wallet address to send money to. So that's cool. There's more dog tag options, and we can also laser cut rings like the Hedera one over there, that it's actually like the design itself is cut into the ring and then we hand finish it. So those are really nice. And there's an XRP one at the bottom there. It's the same style, but we could do like the full color prints on the dog tags, like that, astronaut there. And then if you keep going, there's a gallery towards the very bottom of the page, but there's just kind of more. There's all the different collections available there, keychains, cards. We do bottle opener cards, etc. These are all the companies that we've worked with. So if you guys have heard of Valuetainment, they're like my biggest client to date so far. Patrick Bet-David, and his whole community. He actually is selling dog tags branded for his company on their website right now, vtmerch.com. And we've done like some license deals. I work with Jake Claver's company, Zaman, Gala Games, Hashpack. I might want to take Link 2 off the site. I don't know. But after everything that happened, but they bought bottle opener cards for me like 2 years ago. But yeah, Evernode, we've done work a lot with them actually. Scott's awesome. Citadel Wallet, etc. I need to put the XRP Vegas conference on there. I need to update this list. But anyway, so that's the kind of just a selection of companies we've done work for.
Okay, testimonials. Okay.
Yeah, testimonials. And then at the very bottom of the page, there's a gallery. So if you just go all the way to the bottom,
okay,
you just keep going. Yeah, and these are just some kind of like highlights. That's Benny from Valuetainment, and just kind of an assortment of stuff we've done that I thought was cool that I wanted to just put on there. And there's just a whole bunch.
Absolutely. So what would be the metal that's used in this, for example?
That is aerospace grade titanium.
Wow.
And that's where the tie project comes from, actually.
Right.
And yeah, so that's actually, that blue is anodized. So that's an electrochemical process you add voltage. So that's like an 85 volt, like electric blue color. But there's a wide range of colors that we could do. And then the Phoenix is actually cut out from the laser, but then I laser welded it back into place. So I could have the Phoenix be a different color, or I could have it be a fade. I could have it be gold if I wanted to, or whatever. And then I can just have the two colors together. And that's a super cool look. And when I first came out with that tag, that was a very popular item in the store.
Oh yeah. Wow. Thanks for going into details on that. Now, what are we looking at here? I love that slogan.
Yeah, those cufflinks were gifted to John Deaton, actually, in Australia. So those were really cool. I forget who I think it was the Wave of Innovation people that actually purchased that and then gifted it to John. So on stage, no less, which was awesome.
Wow. I mean, yeah, it really, I've not, this is quite a mix of style and options, I got to say, and colors, man. Wow.
Yeah. The anodizing, there's a lot of options. And now we have a brand new machine on the floor that's a UV printer. And it was a very expensive piece of equipment, but it allows us to do very accurate full color prints directly onto virtually any flat surface. Sometimes, like with metals, you need to coat it first with like an adhesion promoter, but it's been doing great work. So stuff like that tag right there, I mean, you get really vivid colors,
the
deep
details,
blues, deep orange, very high detail. So and it's high throughput with very minimal reject rate. So this was a sublimated tag, which is a bit of a different process, but the reject rate for that process was much higher. There'd be fading issues. There'd be, smudges and stuff that would happen, and you couldn't redo it. You had to throw that piece away. And then there's just a lot of lost inventory. So we're solving for that now. And I'm really excited, to have this piece of equipment on the floor.
Wonderful.
But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the big selection of all the stuff that we've done. And I just wanted to kind of highlight, certain products on the gallery here.
Yeah, I mean, you got a mix of space meets Van Gogh. I mean, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that was just me screwing around with some AI prompting. I definitely was like, make a Van Gogh inspired like astronaut, meditating on the moon, and that's what I came up with. And I was like, damn, that's awesome, And so I think like for me at this point in time, we've got the equipment on the floor, and we have the ability to produce things like this. And with AI and these other tools available now in mass, people could make their own version of this and then submit it to me, and then I can make it on a product for them. And so I think that's a huge deal, for like, whether it's, taking a family picture and turning it into like an anime style and then having me print it on like a glass photo block or a dog tag or some kind of wearable or something. That's one thing. But the other thing is to work directly with small businesses, like what SMitty was talking about earlier, Etsy store owners or Shopify store owners, like small businesses or even brands, groups, communities, and just be able to do custom stuff like this on demand and provide, a really competitive wholesale price for them. I think that's huge.
You know, it really is. Smitty, anything you want to interject, or should we just keep going? This is some cool stuff, I gotta say.
No, you know, I always noticed that my bro, he always had like a really high quality product, and he's only been improving it. So, you know, it went from, I think in the beginning, I think my brother was doing a couple different shades at a time, or colors. And now, as you can see, he can do like a full range, like a Van Gogh, whatever you want to call it. And no, it's all amazing stuff what he does. And I think the real kicker is going to be the utility. And you know, I'm sure he's probably already doing like dog identification tags. But imagine being able to, like, if your pet, you put a dog tag on them, and somebody finds your pet and they scan the QR code, and immediately they get the, you know, contact information, or how to return the dog, the address, all that good stuff. And I think that type of I think this kind of, the last point I want to make is that rather than injecting microchips into people's hands or wrists or into your dogs or pets or loved ones, maybe you can carry a dog tag and be identified. And, you know, as long as that tag stays on you, you know, it'd be a easier way to track someone down rather than, you know, put the mark of the beast inside of their body. You know, that's
100%.
my thought.
I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you on that. Well, it's interesting you brought up the pet angle, because I am currently working with someone who has an Etsy store in the pet niche, and he's crushing it. He sells like dog collars and things like that. He's got like 60,000 customers to date. So he wants for me to, you know, produce these tags that can be, you know, customized, that his customers input the information, and then I can just print them on the new machine. And we establish pricing and everything. So I'd be getting my wholesale rate per unit, but he covers all the customer acquisition costs and all that. And he would just send me like a CSV file of all the information, and then I just like produce all of it. But I'm really excited about that, because I, you know, got a lot of the labor out of it by, you know, just making Python scripts that would be able to take all that information and actually generate the files. So that part's like actually taken care of. So the font, the background choice, the colors of the text, the text itself, the name of the dog on the front, and then, you know, the phone number, address, whatever you want on the backside, all just gets generated automatically and then saved as separate files in a folder. And then I can take a separate program and then bring all those files in and populate a fixture that just becomes one print file. So, you know, there'd be the front page and the back page that would be mirrored. And so you would just print on one side, 200 at a time, and then you would flip the fixture over onto a new one, and then print on the backs all at once. And then all of a sudden the economics make a lot of sense, even at, you know, a few bucks a piece. If I'm able to print a couple hundred at a time in 10 minutes, then everything changes. And so I'm really thinking in terms of systems now, and trying to eliminate as much manual labor as possible without having to hire a whole bunch of people, and really just kind of like upping the you know, cost the overhead. So if this pilot works with this Etsy store owner, he actually also has a school community through Alex Hormozy's platform, where he's teaching people how to run their own Etsy stores and make a couple, you know, $1,000 extra a month, you know, kind of just on the side. And he has like 6 or 7 people lined up already to onboard to become a Thai Project print on demand partner, reselling my products. So assuming this test goes well, we've got, you know, a line of people waiting to try it out themselves. So I think this will be huge, just to kind of solve some of the seasonality issues with this business. Because, I mean, being a cryptocurrency focused audience right now, direct to consumer, we really are at the mercy of market cycles. And, you know, bear markets last a long time. Luckily, we're almost out of one, right? But until then, it's like I can't really rely on that every couple of years. Like, we need to have recurring revenue coming in, and we need it to be consistent. So that's kind of how I'm diversifying. I just wanted to get that out there, because I know he brought up the pet collars, and I was like, bro, we're already locked in on that one.
Yeah, very cool. So if someone it comes up with ideas and they want you to print them, and then they want to sell them, you're okay with that? Is that something that people can then do?
Yes, that's actually an emerging.
the early stages, or if you're okay to do that now.
Yeah, so it is still in the early stages as far as like if they want to do full print on demand. If they want to order in bulk ahead of time and then fulfill themselves, ship directly to the consumer, all of that, then like that I can do right this second. That's not a problem. But the issue is that the client will have to take all the risk up front and buy in bulk before they may know whether they have demand, right? But some clients prefer that. Like there are some YouTubers in the XRP community that I currently do that with because they already have, they already sell XRP merch, for example, and they already have a warehouse and stuff and the 3PL partner. So I just send the dog tags over to them, and then they can just ship things in the same package. Otherwise, there'd be 2 shipments and it'd be confusing, and
Right.
you know what I mean? So to a certain extent, it makes a lot of sense to do that. Now, if they don't already have an e-commerce store and they want to get started, and they just open up a Shopify page or something, and they want to like just basically use Thai Project as a print on demand service, we're not quite there yet, but we're piloting it through Etsy right now and kind of like using integrations with ShipStation and stuff. So we're still proving it out, but that's kind of what this closed ecosystem test is that I'm doing with the buddy of mine who has the store. And then once we build those systems out, we can just kind of, add it to the next group cohort that wants to come in. And then we'll open it up to kind of the broader community. And eventually I would love to have a Shopify app, like a Thai Project app. It's like you have a Shopify store, you just download our app, and then it just talks to my, it's like you get an order and then I get an order on my end with all the information. I just fulfill it for you, and then you get the update, and it's all integrated back end. Like we'll do that, but it's going to be next year, most likely, before that.
Got it. So this is some of the positive attributes of AI, it sounds like, right? What you're talking about.
Agreed.
Okay.
I think we're in a really good position when it comes to the disruption of AI because we have infrastructure. Like I think a lot of people are very reliant on like kind of the software side of things, and just there's so much disruption in that space right now. I mean, a year ago, a website developer could have made 20 grand on a project that today, the market would only command $5 grand for, because AI has taken such a heavy load off of that type of work, right? So it's a lot harder for people like that to, kind of have the same like revenue stream that they are used to, right? So it is affecting a lot of people in very negative ways. But luckily, I think with this business, we're able to kind of lean in and tap into kind of that decentralized, whatever deflationary effect that it kind of has. And so if anybody can just go out and take a picture of them and their like fraternity brothers or whoever, and then get AI to turn it into a Rick and Morty style or whatever they want to do, and then just upload it to thaiproject.com and get a product made, they can do that. And I'm happy to do it. Right. So it is exciting, but I think I need to improve my communication about our capabilities, and then restructure the website in such a way that it's much more obvious that that's kind of the direction that we're going. Because to this point, it's just been XRP focused, right? Which is fine. And we're absolutely going to continue to do that. But I think going forward, there's a million ways that we can grow this business, and we can tap into a lot of other, ecosystems outside of crypto, but then bring Web3 elements into the business through like NFC chips and token gating and NFTs and all kinds of stuff. We can embed that into products and offer that to people who have no idea what crypto is, and it doesn't even matter, because we can onboard them in. So I think that's our big play, like many years down the road, is like actually expanding this ecosystem through our merchandise and through our relationships with businesses. But in the meantime, like we started just direct to consumer in this space, focusing on making those types of pieces. And then we're expanding into kind of the broader ecosystem and embedding more Web3 elements into the products.
Right. No, it's really cool to hear about very positive uses of AI, because I don't think it's going anywhere. But if anyone watches Rick Beato, who he runs a music channel with several, I think 100, I have to look, I know it's hundreds of thousands, but it might be in the millions of subscribers. There's now an AI band, and there's even a song called Dust on the Wind instead of Dust in the Wind by Kansas. And it's just, and he sent the audio tracks through either a filter or some kind of technology that he has, and he could tell that the quality of the track, it was the way that it came out, and the sounds were kind of meshed together, that it was AI. It wasn't a true recording. And so I think, you know, as you know, when Smitty and I are talking music, like, you know, my friend Steve helps me a lot with technology, and we have to, since we're recording in 432 hertz, there's sounds that he has to manipulate. But you know, it's interesting to see where AI goes, because I got to say, there's a new album by a band called The Head and the Heart, and it sounds like totally old school. You feel the soul of it, you know, recorded with real instruments. So it's just, it's interesting to see where this AI world's going, because for some things it doesn't feel like it really has a place, and for others it seems like it can really help people out. So it's nice to hear a real positive story about AI. Any thoughts on that, Smitty?
No, I think AI is the future, and I'll say this though: you can't replace human touch, emotion, and quality, and like the just talent. You can't replace that. So that's an irreplaceable thing. But I'll say this: you know, Microsoft just laid off 10,000 workers last week, and most of them probably because they were going to either be replaced with cheap labor from overseas, or AI models are going to take over. So, and I happen to know quite a few people. I'm not going to say names or anything, that were, you know, top dogs and corporate, you know, top dogs, and they lost their jobs in an instance. And, you know, people commanding teams of 90, 100 people, things of that nature. Well, AI just took your job, bro. So, I mean, you know, right now, I think the best way to go is we use AI to simplify a process and the things that we're building and the processes in what we're actually manufacturing and that sort of thing. But AI can't like replace human, you know, like the actual human nature of people. That will never ever be able to be replaced. But, you know, I think AI is plausible. And I also think that, you know, eventually life is going to be a lot different, man. You know, Elon was talking about, what did he say? He said, we're not going to have universal basic income. He said, we're going to have universal high income, so that people will be able to purchase the goods.
I think you're muted, Joe. But yeah, his stream.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah, we might have lost him for a second. Yeah, I mute. Sometimes there's little munchkins in the area, but yeah, you know, while he comes back, yeah, it's going to be interesting to get his take on, you know, the Evernode, and the way he set up Sound Alive Radio. And, you know, I'm honored to be one of the artists on there. And we did an interview about that. And that's one thing I'd love him to go more into, how that works, because I'm sure that some of that obviously is AI as well. But and until he comes back, is there any other parts of AI that you feel might be good to address, or anything else for that matter?
Actually, yes. A couple thoughts. One is that I think, like, maybe you had just said this earlier, but like about it's inevitable. And so I think it's important for people to sort of just bake that into their minds and figure out a way to turn it into a tool instead of a threat. So I think a lot of people see it as a threat, and understandably so. I mean, it's like, if it comes after your job that you've been doing for the last decade plus, it's really hard to kind of change your trajectory and go in a different direction all of a sudden. But I think that in the future, even more so than it is today, and it's increasingly becoming this way today, everybody is going to have a personal brand for the most part. And like, you're going to have your own business of some kind affiliated with that. And I think that it's important to kind of like lean into it now and differentiate yourself in some way with passions that you have, or whatever, you know, just kind of figure out something to do with your time outside of work that can kind of help set you apart and get you ahead. Because, I mean, I hate to say it, but I feel like there's very few jobs out there that are like actually truly 100% safe from being replaced with AI.
I agree.
And it's just the facts. But if you own your own business and you own your own kind of like whatever you do and whatever you choose to do with AI, then you can actually be the beneficiary of the changes that are coming down the pike instead of being replaced by it. And if you kind of get a head start now, I think you're going to be in a much better position. And I'm also really trying to build Thai Project with that in mind of like, hey, if you want to start your own business, you want to sell, merchandise or something to get started, like we're an option. We make our stuff in the US, we fulfill our products very quickly. People love it when they get it. We can plug right into your store and you can go ahead and sell custom stuff to your audience that you build, right? So we can just kind of tap into the sweat equity that you've done to build your audience, and we can provide something that you could be proud of, that your audience is going to be proud of, and that they're going to enjoy. And we can build an awesome kind of community together. And I think that's how I'm trying to position it now, because that's how I see this all playing out. It's like, we got to all just like do our own thing and just be sovereign individuals and like make our own money and just like build something real, and then, figure out ways to work together. And that's going to be it. That's like the American dream. And I think that in a way, AI is kind of shaking us out of like this kind of weird, like funneled system that we've been in for so long. Corporatocracy. Yeah. It's like everyone just drones through college. We get shuffled into the 4-year college and you get that job and all this stuff, but it's like the cost of living has gone through the roof and wages are not really following it. And it's like, for people my age, I mean, I'm 29 and I know that like my generation can't afford a house. Like we're not anywhere close. Like our median wages are like 40 grand and a house is like, over whatever, it's like 20 times that. Right. So it's really discouraging. And I think that, like with me, like I've just kind of realized that a while ago. I saw AI coming a while ago. I saw a lot of this stuff happening a while ago. And I was like, I need to just go ahead and kind of buck the trend a little bit and do my own thing. And at the time it was a little bit kind of crazy because there were a lot of people like, oh, you left your job at, XYZ company that you were working at. And like, why'd you do that? And it was not a little premature. And I was like, yeah. And it was probably a bad idea to leave when I did, but at the same time, I forced myself to make it happen. And, here we are. So I know it was a bit long winded, but I actually had a lot of opinions about that because like, I've actually made a lot of life decisions knowing that like a lot of this stuff was going to happen. And it's actually happening a lot faster than I even thought it would back a few years ago. So.
Right. No, I certainly appreciate your input. SMitty, we were talking about, and feel free to pick up wherever you were going to say too, but we were talking about, Evernote and the blockchain and how you're doing Sound Alive radio now. And, if part of that is AI, I'd love you to talk to that topic as well.
So the beautiful thing about what my brother just said and he expressed is that, the traditional funnel, which is go to school, go to college, go get a job, and blah, 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 make a salary, this, that, and the third. I think that's kind of coming to a closure because most of these particular positions and jobs are going to actually be replaced with AI. And they'll be replaced in perfect order as well. I think Grok 4 is smarter than the best PhD that you have out here right now. So that says a lot right now. So it doesn't mean that your job is in jeopardy. It means that you're going to actually have to have a business, a trade, something of value that you can contribute to society, to the community. Now, Evernote is not a blockchain. So first of all, Evernote is a permissionless DPIN, which is a decentralized private network. And it's an independent network that anybody can become a part of. If you have a computer, you can download the software, become a node. If you have a server, you can host 33 nodes. Now, what is the value of hosting a node? Well, you can earn Evers, which are tokens, and those are rewards. Right now, the Ever token is scarce. I'll say this. There's not a lot of tokens, and they're on very few exchanges, and that's great. The token is actually valued at 25 cents right now. It's also built off the XRPL. So it's a very valuable asset. To have Evernote, if we were to take Evernote token and put it on the market cap that XRPL is on, or XRP is on right now, Evernote tokens would be worth somewhere in the range of like $4,600 a token. And if you had 1,000 tokens, you'd be a millionaire. So what I'm trying to say is that Evernote is run by a community of people, but folks who really love the protocol and they love hosting and helping people. You can build any application that you want and host it on Evernote. So as a blockchain exists, like XRPL, H bar is a hash graph, but XLM, XDC, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, these are all blockchains, and unfortunately, they're all hosted on centralized hosting like Azure and AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. So if Amazon goes down, then everything that's on there is going down. Evernote is basically community of hosts, like people hosting the nodes and providing the bandwidth for the building blocks of the foundation of a platform. Joe, if you wanted to build truthstream.com and host it on Evernote, you could do so very easily, and it would cost you $0, but it would if depending on the scalability of the platform and how many people are using it, it would actually exponentially grow the wealth of the folks who are hosting it, which are the nodes, and being a permissionless DPIN. So a permissionless, meaning like you don't need permission to become a part of the gang. If you want to host a node, you just download the software and you host a node. If you want to host multiple instances, you do so. And what it does is it spreads out the bandwidth and the computing power and the necessary hosting capabilities amongst the community. I think right now we have 7,000 to 9,000 nodes. So we're a very big community. We're a very powerful network. And when I say, in Sound Alive Radio, I say, more powerful than a blockchain, powerful enough to power any blockchain. I really mean that because, a blockchain, like I said, and this is 100% of blockchains. I don't know any that are hosted on DPINs right now. Now, SUI claims that they have their own bandwidth, this, that, and the third, but it's very, very limited. I think they said they have 72 terabytes or something like that. If you think about it, if you've got 7,000 nodes, and you've got or 7,000 to 9,000 nodes, and all of them are hosting, 1 to 2 terabytes of bandwidth, then right there, you have much greater capacity, something 100 times greater than any blockchain. And that's why, what I want to see is more blockchains coming to Evernote and being like, okay, you know what, we're going to use you guys and host on your blockchain. And while we're using up all these nodes, everybody's becoming rich because they're getting the ever rewards for hosting a node. And so the community becomes rich. And at the same time, the person, the lag of like having to pay these gigantic AWS and Azure bills, and I'll tell you, they're big. The first platform I built, DistroMint, was, we had 3 instances running. We were running penetration testing plus a, testnet dev site, whatever you want to call it, running 3 instances for 1 month with no users actually using the platform. It was like $3,000 a month. And then you look at Spotify, who has an enormous amount of artists and sounds and data that they have to fucking host. And I think Spotify is paying like, 10 to, hundreds of millions of dollars a year for their hosting services. And while that can all be solved by having, a DPIN, a decentralized, permissionless infrastructure, internet protocol, hosting infrastructure. So Sound Alive Radio, there's nothing being run by AI right now. We're actually just running around the clock. And in terms of how everything works, we record a show like this show right now. We can put this whole show into an MP3, and then we'll upload it to one of the nodes or upload it into the cluster. And then it'll run after the last show. I think the next show that we're getting ready to air is the Nick Alviar show that you guys did. That'll be the next one that we drop. But I mean, Sound Alive Radio is just running all the time thanks to our nodes at Evernode, and we're hosted on Evernode. If you looked at the DNS, the domain name server, and I showed you all the different records and all the different addresses and everything, you'd see Evernode in there and all these little cool codes and cool stuff. So it's really amazing. And like I said, man, I look at these blockchains and they're cool. They're awesome. They got tokens, they got shills, they got VCs, venture capitalists and all these people. But none of these blockchains are actually hosted at zero cost. And they're paying a shit ton of money, bro. When I tell you that, they're paying. And that's what makes it centralized, because you're still depending on the beast. And my thing is, once we decentralize everything, and that's when everything, when these blockchains realize they all need to be hosted by a DPIN, and, maybe I'm spilling the beans too much. I don't want to give away too much sauce because I don't want to take money out of our pockets and what we're doing. But at the same time, bro, hosting your website on Evernode or your platform or your blockchain is the smartest thing ever that you can do. And
well, it sounds like the future. Like literally this conversation.
Yep.
I'm realizing in real time what you're saying. Like something like a Spotify could be hosted, and that's where you're going with what you're. This is mind blowing. I'm just really kind of grasping it as we're talking.
I'm already getting ideas too, because as you guys probably know, we're getting into the NFC chip type stuff, and to have. There's going to be hosted elements to that, especially if we have interactive things like photo dumping from events. It's like you want to remember the event after the fact. You just tap on the tag that you got at the event and you can just add your photos to it. But that has to be hosted somewhere. So if we could, provide that as a service and do that through, Evernode, that's a really interesting kind of concept.
Think of it like this, guys. Everything, the way that this is going to work is, all you're going to have to do in the future, and the way that I'm working real closely with the CEO, or both CEOs, Scott and Ravi, think of it like this. All you have to do is register your product or your name into a database, and that's one app. And then you could actually have another app where it hosts and deploys everything, and to where you can give it to your customers and they can go there and just get whatever they want, whether it be music or art, or it's even like a registration for, like you said, information and things of that nature. I don't know what's up with the connection today, guys, so please forgive me.
You're fine. You're coming through. We interviewed Mike Smith from Out of Shadows in the fall of or December of 2023, and he was talking about putting some kind of streaming music and movies together. So it might be time. It could save him a lot if he finds out about this. He might want to just go with this and away from, I don't know what he was going to do, but this might expedite that process for him.
So what we're going to do is we're going to make it so possible to where you can register. Like I said, you can register your product, your name, your artist name, or your label, or your business, or this, that, and the third. And once you're in the registry, you're good to go. Then you can deploy your app. And so we're not going to be one app. We're going to be, everybody can create their own app, and their own app would be their marketplace for whatever product or service that they're selling, and they're able to deploy that. And so let's say somebody buys a product and they're very content with it, or they buy a product and they have a certain time period that they can use that product for before they either have to pay again or, renew their membership or subscription, whatever you want to call it. Then they would get a notification, and they would be actually directly transacting between your app and them. So there is no middleman. It's just you deploying your app. First, you register your product, your name, you put yourself in the database, so we have that information. Then you create the app. The app provides the services, the goods and services that you're trying to sell. And then from there, boom, you get the residuals straight back to you. There's no middleman. There's no cost. We don't take transactional fees. It would just be the cost of registering your product and registering your name. And then, maybe there might be like a fee to post a certain amount of products or to create a certain amount of apps, XYZ. that's where the money would be made. But then on top of it, think about it. It's all being hosted on the Evernode DPIN. Boom. The nodes are getting filthy rich because everybody's using and taking advantage of their servers. And so while the servers are up and running, so it spreads the money to the community for people doing all the work. It's like having like a community of people and we're all harvesting corn or hay or something like that. And everybody gets, they get their cut for the work that they do and so forth. So it makes it fair and transparent. So everything Tyler was talking about in terms of, folks really needing to find that business or that niche or that place where they're going to provide their goods and services, I think it's very helpful to understand that we're building the infrastructure to where, all that can be distributed, done correctly, and at the same time, it can go from customer to business or person to person directly. No middleman. We don't have all these transactional fees. It's all privatized. It's not, we don't have to deal with central banks. We don't have to deal with all this crazy stuff that we're trying to like walk away from. I think Trump even said it today. He was very pissed off because they didn't pass the bill, the crypto bill. And it was one main reason was because they hadn't left alone the CBDCs, so centralized banking digital currencies. And part of that is leaving the central bank alone. Like we have to, that's the whole purpose of decentralization, is moving away from these institutions which have enslaved society and which have kept us like fucked up for so long, excuse my language, but have ruined this entire planet. And while we're rebuilding everything, it's so important for everybody to know. Even Joe, you have decentralized radio now through Sound Alive Radio. My man Tyler has the ability right now to do decentralized information, data, NFTs, and physical NFT, plus just, the eye candy of everything because it all looks so good. So, I mean, people want something like a collectible, something also they can wear, and like I said, I'm big on jewelry and I'm big on dog tags. I mean, imagine this also being implemented by our armed forces, our military. We have so many branches of military and our police, and even like, I don't want to say, but like inmates and, dog pounds. I mean, this thing has so much ability to do the same thing. So what Tyler's doing is he's taking an idea and he's running with it and he's building it into something even greater than we can even imagine right now. And that's, God always gives us something more than what we could ever imagine. But Joe, I mean, the same thing with TrueStream and wanting this to be a decentralized actual show. And I mean, we've already taken the first steps because now we have talk.soundaliveradio.net. And so that takes TrueStream to the next level of decentralization. Nobody can censor you. They can't turn off our shit. And if you go to Evernode's website, I think I might be able to plug it in here. It would be because I met with some other devs earlier today, and it's going to be everpower.io. If you go to everpower.io and you click on the network, you can see all of the nodes that are working around the globe. I think it's there. God damn it. Where is it? It's in the network section, but you should be able to see a map. Is it network? Yep. Click on network. 7,071 nodes in operation right now. You can rotate the world and you can zoom in on exactly who is using or who is powering, like who's actually providing the node network right now. And it's all over the world, brother. I mean, from North America all the way to Asia, to Australia. I mean, to Africa. We've got nodes in Africa. Holy shit. So, I mean, it's a vast and gigantic network of people working together, and they're doing amazing things, bro. Like doing amazing, amazing things. Yep, there you go.
There it is. So, SMitty, if someone wants to, do something, let's say they did want to host their website through Evernote. What is the first step in doing that, so they know? If you may have said that, but if you could reiterate how one would get started on that, just to walk them down that road.
I mean, I think the best way would be to contact EverPower Labs here, and start a discussion with them. Let them know what you're trying to build, and then from there, you know, you can actually talk to the CEO and his team and so forth, and you know, you guys can start building something amazing. Yeah, Ravi is you can go down to leadership. There's Ravi. That's my buddy. He's an awesome guy.
Right. Okay.
And then we have you know, he's the founder, CEO, and then our co-CEO is Scott Chamberlain. If you go down a little bit further, you'll see Scott. He's the short-haired Aussie.
We go to T.
Yeah,
There we go.
yep. There's Scott right there. All right, and then
Yeah,
you know, they have.
he was on our Spaces a couple weeks ago. On your Spaces.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scott is a co-CEO. He's an amazing guy. Now, also, just so you guys know, Evernote is a project that was initially started and was started by these guys, but they were funded. They were grant receivers from XRP, from Ripple. Actually, they received a Ripple grant. So, I mean, it's we're all in the family when it comes to that type of stuff. But I mean, these projects don't have to just be decentralized or have anything to do with XRP. Like, if you want to just host your website, do it the right way, and then, you know, create a payment platform and so forth, things of that nature. You can build anything on here, and it's why it's my favorite. And I'll tell you this last story: when I first signed up, or I joined my brother Christian Ager Hansen, the billionaire from Norway, when he became the CEO of N-Chain, which is now the infamous company of Craig Wright, the fake Satoshi, you know, the one who was claiming to be Satoshi Nakamoto, and the high courts of England, they proved that he's not Satoshi. And, you know, the first thing I said when I got with my developers, when we started working, they were like, well, you need to set up a, you know, an AWS account. And I said, for what? I said, Dr. Craig Wright said that no application built on N-Chain or BSV platform is hosted by AWS. And they said, oh, no, it's he's just speaking very early, you know, it's before the technology has come out. And I said, this is bullshit. I said, because how the fuck are we decentralized and we're still paying money? And then it had to come out of my pocket, thousands of dollars coming out of my pocket to host a platform that we're supposed to be partnering on, this, that, and the third. And I'm thinking it's being built on a blockchain. So Everybody first needs to understand blockchains are not really blockchains. I mean, they're blockchains because they have data and encryption on, you know, massive levels that are unhackable for 300 years. You know, they use alphanumeric coding and numbers and symbols and things of that nature. A hash uses numbers and dots and periods. But if your actual blockchain is still hosted on the beast, and the beast is Amazon, Microsoft, these are gigantic corporation companies that are making trillions of dollars every year off of hosting everybody's data. You don't actually own your data. You're not actually decentralized, and your project is bullshit. So don't tell me you're a fucking blockchain if you still being hosted by a centralized host. And that's why I said this is the gem. This is the gem in Evernote. And people won't get it until they get it, and they might get it too late. But Evernote is the gem, and it's the gem because we're decentralized, bro. We're a community of hosts. You've seen it, 7,000 to 9,000 nodes, all private, all have the right software, and we're supporting an ecosystem that could become enormous. And the bigger it becomes, the more that the nodes get paid, and the more that people can earn on this blockchain, on this DePIN, and the more blockchains that can come aboard. So, I mean, I'm just spreading the word, the good word about it. I fucking love Evernote, and I'm so happy that we're able to build Sound Alive Radio on that. And then at the same time, you know, I love the decentralization of Tyler's products and what they can do by bringing physical and digital attention to particular brands and so forth. And like he said, you know, we're in that era where you have to create something and you're going to have to contribute. Like, so you can't be useless or worthless anymore. You can't just be some guy that goes to the office and punches in the clock and then has coffee and a fucking donut and you know, you go to Tchotchkes afterwards or whatever. You know?
Office Space. Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you
Great
for that.
movie.
I did that fucking movie, man.
I got to bring this picture up. Because this, and just, you got to tell us about this, Tyler, because this is priceless. What a moment this must have been. If you could just share with the viewers what was going on here.
Yeah, so that was at XRP Vegas this year, and I had made a gift, a pair of cufflinks for Brad Garlinghouse, and also a separate pair for David Schwartz, and I was intending to give it to both of them. And I had asked Brad Kimes if like we could make that happen. I didn't really know if I'd be able to get the chance to see them, but he's like, you know, obviously, like, I can't promise it, but I'm going to do everything in my power to make it happen. And he certainly delivered. So what happened was I was waiting in line to speak to Brad. I had actually just given the pair to David. And there's also that video on X as well on my page somewhere, but that was a really cool video in of itself. And he really loved them. But then I was waiting to talk to Brad, and I was a few people away. And at that point, he was being whisked away behind the closed doors, and he was done, networking for the day. And they were like, he's going to be back tomorrow. Just, that's it. And I was like, damn, I missed my shot. And I basically was presented with the opportunity to like just give them to a volunteer to take in the door and give to them, to give to him, or just take my chance and do it the next day. And I was like, I'll take the chance, because we'll see. Worst case, I'll just give it to a volunteer. They'll get it to him later. But then they went behind the closed door and actually asked like Brad himself. It's like, hey, there's this guy. He was trying to give you a pair, a gift from the community and stuff. Like, is there any way he could like come back here real quick and give it to you? And Brad himself was like, actually, yeah, bring him in here. So this was behind closed doors, kind of just like the volunteers of the event, and just like kind of a few, high level people that were in this room. And so it was a bit more intimate than like when everyone was accosting him to get pictures and stuff out there. So this would have never happened if it was out in the main room, I don't think. So anyway, we actually get to talking. Brad Kimes introduces me to him and actually is telling Brad Garlinghouse about all the stuff that I'm up to with the NFC chips and all. I mean, he's just like glazing me up. I was like, oh, this is great. And Brad was like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. Yeah, I think I've like seen this stuff before or whatever. And then I give him the pair of cufflinks. But the way that, Brad was like getting it out of my hand or whatever, like one of the ladies taking the picture was like joking around. And she said, he said yes, like a joke. And Brad just, being hilarious and humble and just like the guy that he is, he just did that right there. He just got on one knee and like proposed to me. And but then, he popped up real fast and everyone was like laughing and clapping and stuff. And he is just kind of like brushing it off. Like, yeah, no. But then the ladies were like, do it again. Like, we need to get a picture of this, and they were like egging him on to do it. And he was like, no, I'm not going to. And I was like, that was crazy, but yeah, there's no way he wants that on the internet. But then he thought about it and he just went all in and did it again. And like actually posed for pictures. So like, he knew what he was doing, man. It was the craziest thing. I was so happy about that. Like the rest of the day. And then I, of course, like posted the picture, and then overnight gained like, I think it was like 1,500 followers just from that. It was the craziest thing ever. So really, really wild day in my book.
When are you guys planning the baby shower?
Hopefully when moon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When moon.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, I want to say one more thing about this, guys.
Please.
For all you XRP pundits and you goofies, y'all need to take a damn breather and chill the F out, because at the end of the day, Mr. T, President Trump, he said it. He said, you got to give us at least until September to get our financial house in order. And so we got to have law before we have price. So everybody going crazy and doing this, that, and the third. And look, I bought XRP yesterday, the day before that. I'm trying to buy XRP every day. I'm like, instead of, getting a drink or buying a damn fancy meal, I said, I'll just buy some more XRP. Even if it's $3, guys, you're buying it dirt fucking cheap.
I agree.
This token has so much utility to it. It is going to be beyond the scope of what anyone could ever imagine, bigger than Bitcoin, bigger than every token. And I tell you that because of the utility, because of the connections. ISO 222 is already taking effect right now. That was announced, and the Federal Reserve actually, FedWire, they announced it. I don't think there'll be a Federal Reserve very shortly. I think Jerome Powell will step down, and I think that we'll eliminate the Fed. But we are going to have a much simplified way to exchange payments, and a simplified way to transact and do all that good stuff. Also, I want to make a shout out to one person, Monica Salsi. She's a huge XRP holder and an awesome lady, and we're doing music together. And I know she watches your show adamantly, Joe. And then also a lot of my artists watch your show too. Shout out to Keith and Kristen Capolino and also Dave Height. There's a lot of people I've met through TruthStream. So that's why I felt like it would be perfect for Tyler and his company to link with you guys, just because of the just amazing people that you guys are connected with. So, those shout outs are just random or whatever. But shout out to everyone else on Sound Alive Radio, Sound Alive Records, and, Distromint, Evernode, all my guys out there doing amazing things. I'm going to have to run here in a little bit. So, maybe we can get down to the nitty gritty. I'm going to zip my lips and let you guys kind of close out. But, Joe, thank you so much for having us. And Tyler, thanks for coming on board. I really wanted you to connect with Joe and then also share your amazing talent and your craft and everything that you do, because he's Tyler's super talented, and I believe in him. I support what he does, and I support it even more now, obviously, because of how much he's been able to scale his business and grow it. And I think he's going to scale it even more and more. Not a thing. It's like I know he's going to scale that thing, just like Joe. You're going to scale TruthStream. We're going to scale Sound Alive. So. It's good to be around, founding partners, and then also folks that all kind of look and breathe the same type of, positivity. It's a lot of distractions, negativity in the world right now, and it's just good to kind of focus on keeping a tight circle of people who all believe in themselves and believe in building in a positive way. So, Joe, once again, man, much love to you. Love to Scott too, man. I hope that he feels better and things get better. And other than that, brother, thank you.
Absolutely. It's an honor to do this show. And I just want to say something to everybody that's watching right now, especially on X. I've had the honor of doing the edit for the Rev 17 event was hosted by Pastor Dave Bryan. And it is to raise awareness for human trafficking and a place for victims of human trafficking to recover. And any help, it's Laura Logan, Lee Dundas. There's so many amazing speakers that stood up. Lewis Herms, who's now running for governor of California. So if there's any of the speakers that you guys watch on X and they resonate with you, if you could please share those, because we've got to get the word out. As wonderful as creativity is, and it's an outlet and it's a lifeline for us, my main goal is to help eradicate human trafficking, because then that's like the fish in the fish bowl with, we got to get the dirty water out, because the human trafficking part is the part we got to clean up first, and then we can flourish in what God intended for humanity. So please help me get those speeches out. I don't have to share them all, but Nicholas Vignamin just shared Lewis Herm's speech for governor today. I'm doing it for them, and all I asked is that the speakers share it and then the people share it, because that's the main focus of TruthStream for both Scott and I, is to help bring awareness to human trafficking and end this shit so we can live in the world that was intention. So that's all I ask from you guys, to just please share these beautiful speakers' speeches, because it takes a lot to get up there, and there's a beautiful community now that's standing together. So that's all I ask from the audience. And in closing, Tyler, anything you want to end on that's positive, and anything else you want to say? But I thank you guys both for being on the show. You're both an amazing fit. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Joe, and thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and SMitty as well for the invitation at the beginning. I wanted to just comment on what SMitty had said at the end of his closing statement there about just like surrounding yourself with a small circle of founders that like share your vision and your kind of drive and passion. Because I have really kind of come into that over the last couple of years, where I just was really careful and decided on who I let into that circle. And it has done wonders for me. I've learned to say no to a lot of people. I've learned to kind of just retire some relationships and kind of leave room for what I'm currently building and lean into what I'm doing. And at the time I felt kind of like I made a mistake making those decisions, because I felt bad about it at first. But in hindsight, it really needed to happen. And I'm at a point now where like most all of the people that I'm around are founders and they're entrepreneurs and they're building big things. And now, to be honest with you, I mean, the network that I've managed to kind of just like build over the last three and a half years doing this, like if I was to hear back in 2019 or 2021 or whatever, like that today I'd be where I am and talking to the people that I'm talking to right now and have interest from all that. Like I have all these deals on the table and all this stuff. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because literally in 2021, I posted a picture of a keychain on my, Twitter page with 0 followers on it. And that turned into this, right. And Brad Garlinghouse and the whole, everything that just happened recently within the last, I mean, it's mind blowing. It still is. It feels surreal. And it's amazing, and it's incredibly fulfilling, and it's very hard, right? But I'm doing it with people that are also in the fight too, that are also broke, that are also trying to make it happen, that are also super hungry, and that's what's keeping me in the fight. Because to be honest, like when I was doing this, what felt like on my own, and there were a bunch of people around me who were like kind of just doing their 9 to 5, and they were like just kind of the old circle, like it was draining, to be honest with you. It's like they didn't have the same ambitions that I did. They didn't have the same goals and long-term vision. And they weren't thinking like that. They were thinking about, oh, what are you doing this weekend? And I'm like, probably working, and they're like, oh, lame. No, come on and drink and do all. And I'm like, I feel like I have this sense of urgency right now. I need to get this stuff done. And so, I just wanted to kind of get that out there because I really resonated with that. And I again, at first felt like I was making a mistake, but now I'm so grateful that I made those hard choices because of the people that I'm able to talk to now. And like the people that are, around me on a consistent basis that are building alongside of me, and together we're building incredible things. And I'm just so excited for this community at large. I think the XRP community, the Evernode community, the Zahao community, all these different kind of communities, it's like there's some killers in here, man. We're all doing really awesome stuff, and there's so many synergies. And like I'm working with like 4 different founders that are each building in these ecosystems, and we're and I'm like with the physical products, with the NFC chip tie-ins, like we're actually positioned to be the tip of the spear and go to market strategy for other businesses. So it's like, it's such an incredible thing, again, to start out posting a picture of a keychain on my backpack to being able to be a go-to-market strategy for major companies in this space is insane. So I'm just so grateful. I'm honored. I'm not letting up. I'm only, speeding up and doubling down. And like at this point, there's been so much validation for the business model. We have go-to-market strategy kind of covered and product market fit established. And now it's time to scale. And like, we're ready. We got infrastructure. We've got the relationships. We're ready to go. So I'm so excited, right in time for markets to turn around. I mean, everything is like, if I had waited, and I know I'm rambling, but if I had waited, man, to start this business until the market started ripping, I mean, like none of this stuff would have happened. Like there'd be no momentum. I'd be starting from scratch. I'd have to build all these relationships. It just wouldn't happen. So
you went with your gut. You felt like this spark, and you felt like I better do this, and you didn't ask permission. You just you went for it, and that's aligning with the divine right there, man.
I agree, man. And God has been so good. Glory to God. That's all I could say. I mean, it's just been a glorious journey, and it's been incredible. I'm just so grateful, and the people that I've been able to kind of just like connect with have changed my life, and I know that they've been put there for a reason. So it's phenomenal. It's a pleasure to be here again. Thank you so much for the time today. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. SMitty, anything you want to say in closing, real quick?
No, just I resonate with everything Tyler's saying, with what you're saying as well. I just want to say one last thing, and that is, guys, if you have dreams, make sure that you leave the past in the past. You don't worry about the future, and make sure that you show up. So show up. Worry about showing up in the present. You're arriving. Every day you wake up, say, I've arrived. And I promise you, everything is going to go the way that you want it to go. So much love to everybody out there. I myself, I just want to make a big shout out to, the entire XRP Evernode community, because you guys have helped support a lot of these projects. And
sorry, SMitty, I hit the wrong button.
I hit the wrong button too. Don't worry about it. It's all good, brother. I'm getting ready to surf on out of here, but no, guys, amazing, cool stuff.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. Tyler will be in touch, and I guess we'll roll out with one of my songs, and this is found on Sound Alive Records and Sound Alive Radio, and it's called Lifting Veils, and it's an honor to be a part of Sound Alive Records and Radio, and much more to come, guys. All right, take care, everybody. Ciao for now.
Yes, awesome, sir, brother.
Guys. Thanks so much.
I have known for some time something about the world ain't right. The darkness lives in plain sight. In the ether, adjust your eyes. There are those that have no clue. You give them hints, they just stare at you. Most that live in Plato's cave, watching